I think from the seller's point of view, the secret is get prepared before you sell. Get prepared before you put the property on the market. Obviously, you've got to do things to the property and talk to your estate agents, but think about the legal process as well. You might have documents that you give to your lawyer, guarantees, etc. So think about that. And I would suggest and recommend go and instruct a conveyancer when you market your property. Don't leave it until you find a buyer, because that could be 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line. And that is basically legally dead time. You could be using that time to get your documents together and basically get some kind of auction pack so you can hit the ground running when you accept an offer from a buyer.
Gathering the information, getting it all together in a timely manner, getting it to the conveyancer so that as soon as a buyer's found, that information can get sent over. The reason for that is normally when you're selling a property, it's a reactive state. You're not driving the transaction. It's normally driven by the buyer as a transaction. So you can actually find that it takes longer for sales transactions to happen than if you are acting for a buyer of a transaction. So if you have that information, or your conveyancer has that information straight away, they're almost driving that transaction and turning it around and being proactive rather than reactive. So if you're always on the back foot being reactive and just waiting for the buyer to ask the questions and to raise anything and to get their house in order, then you'll find that the transaction takes a lot longer time.
Choosing the right agent, because we kind of all turn up exactly the same, look the same, have the same comparables. And what I'd advise you do is get to know your agent. That's the first bit. Understand who they are, and ultimately they've got your biggest asset. You've got to trust them, and trust is the single biggest thing. Don't be concerned about fee, price, because ultimately most agents you pay at the end, so it's not a worry until that point. The second thing, to be honest, completion dates. Start thinking at the beginning, when do you want to be moved by? Have you got everything else in place for a solicitor, your broker? Have you sorted those things out? And finally, the biggest stress at the end that everybody comes to us with a problem, removals. Nobody books a removal van early. And then with the stamp duty deadline, we literally had clients moving out on the day and putting their stuff on a lawn, hoping a van will turn up at some point to collect their stuff.
So yeah, I think one of the big challenges in the homemaking process is the consumer experience, isn't it? And I think certainly when we've engaged with consumers, one of the big issues is around trust. Not that they don't trust estate agents or conveyancers, but they don't trust the process. So I think there are concerns that at the point an offer is accepted, when are they going to be able to get the keys? And I think there's a huge amount of uncertainty around that. So I think anything we do to be reassuring people who are moving house that actually the completion will take place and within a timescale that we can tell them about as early as possible has to be a good thing.